Hey, garage people, coming at you. It is Thursday morning, February 27th, and the last time this engine was in this car was just over 2 months ago on December 20th. And today, it is gonna go back home. I've got the engine sitting down here with the trans attached. The wiring harness is all laid on top and plugged in as much as it can be. Plugs are still out. I got the speed bleeder laying up on top. I do have to connect my O2 sensors because I had kind of forgotten already that those were in the header collectors and not the exhaust. So those will get plugged in up here and secured away. And there's another one on the other side as well. This one goes inside the car to my gauges. But this one gets routed up to there. That little blue tab is where the plug is. Yeah, there's the black plug. That tab is the lock. So we'll plug that together. This has to be scooted forward very slightly, I think. But we'll get to that when we get to it. What else? Not a whole lot. We've got to dig out our crossmember bolts out of our drawer of very small and further diminishing parts. Got to make sure that our wires are hanging clear. And then we will start lowering away. I've got my LS1 Tech article pulled back up here. And the order of operations is basically clear everything out so it won't hit, which I've done. I'll open up the hood and get everything out of the way and get some light in there so I can see a little bit better. This has to scooch a little bit forward, and then it all sits down, everything out of the way. These posts line up on either side, and then it's crossmember bolts in. I'll loosen up the single bolt in the middle of the trans crossmember so it can pivot, and then I'll put those 4 bolts in, tighten that one up, then that's done. And then the torque arm will get yanked down and put in there, and then that'll be tightened, and then the transmission and engine will be attached to the car. The 6 bolts up here and 4 more bolts back here. As you can see, those 2 go right there. Those ones go up there. So good stuff there. Yeah, very exciting. What else is next? Oh yeah, so after the torque arm is on, then I'm going to go to my article here and start working backwards and connecting things. I vaguely just thinking out loud, it'll probably be like the wheel speed sensors, the coolant passages, then we'll kind of work upward from the bottom, I guess. I just don't want to loop anything over anything else or get anything in the way. I don't want to work against myself, basically, is what I'm saying. So I'm just going to kind of go piece by piece, and we'll get that up in there. When that's all up in the car and everything's happy, this is thinking way ahead, but we will grease the rear end with the Zerks and then put fluid in the rear and lock that all up. And then we can put fluid in our transmission, and that will be set. We can do that from inside the car because we'll have access to the shift lever port right there, and that can just flow right into the body, so that's easy. We don't have to use a pump. Then what else will we do at that point? Obviously sway bars and everything will get hooked up, brakes and everything. All the electrical, everything gets routed. We will put fluid in the brakes. I will plug in the clutch and we'll spin down the rod to lengthen or shorten the pull or the throw of the pedal so we can bleed that out and then readjust it for the new clutch. We'll eventually bleed the brakes, put power steering fluid in the steering pump there after that gets hooked up, and then we will also put oil in the motor with the new filter and pump that in and prime it up. But that's obviously thinking further ahead. And then we'll do, after the computer comes back, we'll crank for pressure and all that fun stuff, make sure everything's hunky-dory. And if that's good, then we will go ahead and put coolant in. So obviously thinking a few steps ahead there, but always good to know where you're going. So I will put the camera down here and start by getting these wires plugged in, and we'll move on from there. So yeah, it's been 2 months and a week or so since the engine came out, and I'm very excited to put it back in. So we'll get it at least in today, and hopefully in plus a bit more. So yeah, stay tuned. Good stuff humming. All right, I already measured with a plumb bob from the little pegs down. How do I work this? From the little pegs down here to the little hole up here. We're gonna give her a shot. Fast and Furious in the background. Good luck. Bullshit, asshole. No one likes the tuna here. Got the car coming down. It's gone good so far. I had to readjust a little bit back here where the bump for the trans going into the car wasn't quite right. Up here everything's fitting perfectly. As you can see, I got some heat wrap on that wire for the O2 sensor that snakes behind the header. All that's looking good. All this is tucked out of the way. The one thing I gotta do is just briefly edit this routing. I gotta remove this zip tie right here, and so I can route these wires a little bit differently. This goes to the fuse box. This goes to the back of the alternator, which reaches fine, but I wanna make sure that this has enough length to pull upward to reach the fuse box, which is like up on top on the inside of the fender. So I'm gonna cut this zip tie right there and move this wire above that little knob on the steering knuckle, steering rack, and then we'll lower away from there. So I'll put you guys up on the rack over here, and we'll get a little time lapse going on. Oh, speaking of, check out this new toolbox art. Yeah, the girlfriend and I put together this puzzle trifecta. I don't know why the Porsche is there, but got a nice '69 Camaro, late '50s Corvette. I'm not super good with Corvettes, and then some Beetle variant. So I'll put you guys up on the stand here, and you can watch me toil, and then hopefully we'll lower this away and get these bolts in. All right, garage crew. After that longer than expected hyperlapse, I know the car is ready to lift. The transmission crossmember bolts are in. The 3 bolts on each side for 6 total for the front subframe are in. The crossmember bolts are back there. And then the hardest part was getting the shock towers leaned in towards the car and then bolted up through the top. They were heavy and a pain, and yeah, just great fun. So anyway, yeah, all the bolts are in. I'm gonna lift her up. Look at that! I'll stand right underneath me even. Stand, you know. Woohoo! Alright, well. There we go. Oh, that was weird. Yeah, the video cut and restarted there, I think, because of my hand motions, but yeah, motor's in, as you can see. Oh, man. So, now I just gotta go around, sway bar goes on, power steering cooler, lines get hooked up, clutch line, and the wiring that goes into the cab. Yeah, all the little odds and ends and bits and bobs. The air filter and stuff underneath has to go back together. Yeah, now's when the fun starts. Oh man, that was a lot of work, but it actually, all things considered, went back together pretty easily. It really didn't fight me too bad, especially for just doing it all by myself. With 2 people, I think it would have been a lot easier. Just someone lowering and someone pushing, and you know, blah blah blah. But as you can see, the SS has a heart once again. So yeah, I'm very happy. I'm gonna eat some lunch, and then I think I will clean up these bricks and maybe get those dollies taken apart so we can use them for other stuff, or put them away. Because yeah, that motor is not coming back out. So actually, now that I say that, I bet it will have to come back out. No. But yeah, I'll put some stuff away, and then I'll come back out here and we'll start slapping things on the bottom. The sway bar has to go on. There's a little splash guard on this side. What else goes up under there? There's a little heat guard or heat shield that goes up along the headers. And then the wires I gotta feed through the firewall, make the underhood area nice and neat. So that will take a little bit of doing, and then once I get everything inside, I can start organizing that. And then I can fit my, after I'm done under the hood and under the bottom, I think I will fit my exhaust cutout and make sure that I can get that on the passenger side before the Y pipe, and then tuck it up into the, is it right after the Y pipe? Yeah, I think it's right after the Y pipe, whatever. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked. So that was good. Very happy that it's back in there. On to the next one. See you guys in a bit. Hey, garage people. Got the workstation set up at the front of the car. Got the motor in. Yeah! You can see the transmission sitting right there. Right where it should be. Everything is perfect in Wonderland. Except for this wire right here. I routed the main wiring harness, or the main power distribution harness that goes from the battery, grounds it, goes to the starter, and then goes to the alternator, and then the fuse box, the main fuse panel, which is right here. And And I routed it slightly differently, in my opinion better. It's just more out of the way of everything and just cleaner lines, and it all fits together better. But as is the case when you do stuff like that, it is a little short. It needs to go over to here, this post, and so it's gonna run back through here. This is just gonna go, where is this? Oh, it's rubbing against the brake. There we go. It's gonna go under here and kind of just go like that. Back over to here. So, there we go. I've got it exposed, and I'm adding a little extension of 10 gauge takeoff power wire. And I got my solder and my torch here because this soldering iron is a little weak to heat up this whole metal tab, so I'm using the torch. Got my light set up here. This is not bolted down quite yet. The radiator / AC heat exchanger, plus my new intake right there. You can see you can't see out, but you can see that's a reflection in the black plastic that you can see. Because I've actually got the door open. It's so nice out today. It's like 55 degrees. And so I've got the door open. Nothing else needs to be said. That did turn, I think. How it did, I do not know. Yeah. I don't know. We'll try to fix that. So that's rotated a bit. I don't know. Anyway, everything else fits real good. There's like a pinky's width of space on the back behind the MAF, or the manifold map sensor, manifold absolute pressure. Everything else fits fine. I'll be able to get the plugs on this side, no problem. This side should be all right. 1 or 2 through 6. 8 might be a little bit tricky getting it from underneath. We'll manage. It'll be all right. Yeah. Other than that, I'm going to extend this, and then we will go about routing wires how we want, and then go under the car, get the sway bar installed, and these brush guards and such, and then I got this brush guard mud flap, and then I got the steering shaft that goes back in. The brake lines have to get reconnected, the radiator hoses, all that fun stuff. And then once that's done, I can start plugging in stuff over here, namely these plugs, but I'm gonna leave this one off because this is where the computer sits. So these two are going to stay flopped out. And then this big plug will stay out as well because I'm going to need to run a little cable out to access the number 10 wire over here for my gauge. But all that is in due time now that the motor's in. So just going through and hooking up a lot of stuff, making sure everything's where it needs to be. Making sure that like that cable down there, the sparkly silver one, is not rubbing on the exhaust, which it might be, so we'll have to adjust that. And then, yeah, this will get both scooted forward and bolted down. Then everything can get rigged up on the air filter side. See if this needs clearancing. Yeah, tilt this back to 90 degrees. There's no damage on it, so I don't know how that got tilted. That thing is tight too, so anyway. Yeah, good stuff. I'm gonna get this soldered and keep watching some true crime and leave the door open and get some sun. So yeah, update for now. I'll get at you later. All right, ladies, gents, and garage friends. It's been a Hallmark day here in the garage. As you saw earlier, I was extending that wiring harness because we got our motor back in now, and I had routed it slightly different. I ended up popping it down here to get some easier access, and you can see my extension here up to about here. So yep, that should reach the fuse box, no problem. We got a nice solid battery terminal on there. And I did the soldering method of just fill this thing up with solder and hit it with the torch and then dunk the end in and cramp it. So that worked out well. Tomorrow we'll get some more of this squared away and start getting these bad boys tucked up through the firewall here. Maybe do something about getting the purge and the nitrous solenoid mounted on there. Get this stuff figured out here as well. Throttle hooked back up. Battery cables aligned and that stuff. AC line and also the radiator connections under there. And then we can start messing around with these connectors a little bit and work our way inside. And then also we've got fluids and stuff to do as well. So a lot of wiring still to do in here, but not much to lay, mostly just connections to make. So got my box all messed up here for my wiring, so I'll put this stuff away and yeah, come back at it tomorrow. It'll just be mostly fiddling around under the hood and then some under the floor stuff as well. If we make it that far, we can start going on our cutout. So yeah, very good day today. Super happy. Very glad to have this thing back in and sitting pretty. Yeah, soon we be rolling. All right. Sleep tight, boys and girls. See you tomorrow.